Hey everybody, it's Reid, and I'm here with the Time Hack Agent podcast, and we talk about AI and systems and virtual assistants and how we can be more productive in our businesses. And today I am talking with Jenna Evola. She is the founder of Evolve Systems AI, and she's been in this space for longer than I have. And I would love to find out, how'd you get started in this, and maybe give us your little introduction about who you are and how you got to where you're at now.
Sure. Thanks, Reid. Happy to be talking to you today. So I started in the traditional agency space. I worked for agencies that served the big three, like the car companies, for almost a decade. And that is where I learned a lot of what I am implementing now today. So fast forward. So I did that for about 10 years, and I had about almost 7 years ago the opportunity to start a small business. And it was a medical clinic out in near Seattle, Washington. And that was my first foray into small business. Basically like stepping outside of corporate whatsoever. Learned a lot through that experience and ended up creating the agency that I have today to help other small business owners basically get their time back, achieve optimization, and operate a little bit more like the big guys do, the corporate guys have access to, because they have more leverage. And that is typically a big missing piece in the small business owners toolkit, I guess, is they oftentimes have more need for leverage than the bigger companies tend to have. And so I help connect those people to leverage. Just like you, I help them get access to awesome talent out of the Philippines to help backfill things that they would normally be paying a lot more money for in labor. And so that they can buy their time back and keep more money and their more profit from their business in their pockets.
Well, that is the bottom line. We all do this to create a paycheck for ourselves, and that net number is the important, and having all that overhead, and labor is a huge part of that overhead. So you worked in corporate, and you've been involved in a lot of this stuff, but from the bigger perspective with somebody else's systems. So
Correct.
Where did the term evolve come from? Does that come from your name, or is that just where'd you come up with the name of the business?
Yeah, it kind of worked because my last name is Evola, so it's kind of a bit of a play on my name. And also business owners need to constantly evolve, and it just became a natural fit for the name of my business, because that's essentially what we focus on doing is evolving all the time, making sure that we are always optimized and using the latest and the greatest available to us.
Yeah. And so as you do that, I mean, you've been doing this for a while, so you specialize in a certain market segment within the business community?
I tend to, because I'm a clinic owner and I understand clinic operations and I understand the daily pains of that type of business, I do tend to work more with like private medical businesses, but I do find that I can help pretty much any small service-based business. So I work with coaches, I work with construction companies, I work like you name it. If it's a small business that provides a service as their main thing, there's probably some things that from a business operations perspective and from a marketing perspective that can be improved and leveraged. And that's when we bring in a lot of, AI, automation, and offshore talent to help with those things.
Yeah, that's those things are all super important and help people grow what they're doing and get some of their time back. What do you see as, in the time you've been doing this, some of the common mistakes that people make as business owners when they're trying to implement automation or hire a VA on their own?
Every business owner makes this mistake, which is that they think that they should start doing marketing before they fix their operations. So I usually see people think, okay, I need to grow my business, so that means I need to get leads. So I need to focus on lead generation and I need to focus on marketing. But that's usually a trap if the business owner has not already gotten their admin under control, systematized some things first. Because a lot of times when leads start coming in, then they don't know how to properly handle the leads, or they can't fulfill if they do get the new influx of business. Handling admin, I guess bottom line, is the first step. And I think that pretty much every business owner should start with hiring an executive assistant or someone who's going to take the admin off the plate first, and then they can start thinking about the other things that support the business.
Right. So, I mean, if you take all of the AI stuff and the technology out of it, I mean, there's still something essentially human about that we're trying to get closer to as we're growing a business without all the machines. I mean, we're not necessarily meant to have all these machines. The world has changed so much. Where do you see that people need to grow outside of the AI and the virtual assistants?
I think the perspective that I have on that is a lot of people are approaching AI in the wrong way, in the sense that they think that AI can fix all of their problems, and we're not there yet. And they also think that they can just like implement an AI system and, everything's fixed. Couldn't be further from the truth at this point in time. It's not perfect, and I don't think that it will be for a long time. And so you still need to have a foundation built. If you are going to use AI, you need to use it as more of something that supports your learning process, like learn faster with AI, do faster, implement faster with AI, but it's not fully replacing human work quite yet. And that's where I think the offshore talent, bringing in some skilled people that you can actually afford to bring onto your team and not cut into your bottom line too much. I think that's when that becomes really, really important for a business owner to think about, because you could get into the trap of hiring an agency to build out this, AI system for you. And you might turn around and go, okay, this isn't working because I didn't set up the foundation underneath it. And, the average agency that's going to set all this type of stuff up for you, they're not going to tell you that. They're just going to say, oh, yeah, take my offer. They're going to take your money and they're going to, complete their project, and they're not going to care too much why it isn't working. Usually it's a foundations issue if it's not working.
And then you get done and you've got a really fancy toolbox sitting in a corner collecting dust.
Yep. You've built a Ferrari that you don't know how to drive.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. So after hiring an executive assistant to get some of the foundational stuff off your plate, what do you think is the next step from your experience in helping someone to grow after getting an executive assistant on board?
So after getting an executive assistant on board, I would say taking a step back with your executive assistant, with their assistants, and looking at, okay, now that we have our foundations, now that we've systematized everything, what is it that we can automate in every single thing that we do every day that won't take away from the customer experience that we're trying to give to our customers? Every business owner really needs to think about that when they're utilizing AI at this point in time. I think you want to utilize it in ways that don't make your product cheap, that don't make your marketing look cheap or disconnected. There's a lot to think about if you're going to actually try to utilize AI in your daily and automation. And so I like to look at the things that take up a lot of time admin-wise first, that could unbury even the admin from the manual workload. So automating administrative things, still with the help of an executive assistant, is probably the first go. And then looking at next the things that don't take away from the customer experience or the customer journey and actually add to it. So something like that might be, okay, if there is a process that happens every single time you onboard a customer, for example, they are supposed to get a certain email instruction, they're supposed to then schedule a certain meeting. All of this stuff is the type of stuff that you might want to look to automate, right? It doesn't matter if the admin themselves hit send on the email in terms of the customer journey at that point. So those are the types of things that I would automate first.
Okay. And, as you've worked in healthcare specifically, are there some specific things? I mean, every industry is different. I'm not in healthcare, and that AI specifically works well for, and then that a VA can do, that's specific to that industry?
I would say just setting up a really robust autoresponder system to catch people is probably the best use in like a clinical setting, because inevitably all day long, a business like that is going to have people contacting them, whether it's to inquire about making an appointment or about the services, how much things cost, all of those things. And so if you can have autoresponders set up for answering those types of questions, FAQ autoresponder, that can be really helpful. But the feedback that I'm getting, both as a clinic owner watching patients give feedback, and also from building and playing with multiple different platforms that are out there that you can build these types of like voice bots and chat bots and whatnot on top of. Customers don't care if they're interacting with an AI as long as it's making their lives easier. But the moment that there is a problem, you best have a human to step in, because you're going to create the opposite problem for yourself, where customers don't want to interact with your business because they're annoyed, right? They can't get to the information that they need. They can't just quickly schedule an appointment or whatever it is that they're trying to achieve. And so this is why offshore talent is still really, really important. You really can't automate everything still. You want to make sure that you have high touch, highly trained, warm voices on the phone that are still going to be able to call these people and give them the human touch. So it's more of like a stopgap, more of like a, because I can't answer the phone right away, because I can't get to you right away on demand, I'm going to put this stopgap in between, but I'm going to make it very, very easy for you to get in touch with a human in case you don't want to have that type of experience.
Yeah, I've had a couple of those experiences myself where I may have typed some 4-letter words into the chat bot before because they get stuck in their little loop and they're not answering the questions you want. It's like, give me a human.
I have not found a perfect chatbot yet, by the way. I've built on multiple different platforms. Like, I'm out there looking, and, the moment that exists, I'll be telling everybody about it. But there's a reason that I'm not recommending that everybody, does their customer experience or customer service and communications fully with AI yet. It's because it's not there, and it really will turn your customers away.
It is coming a long ways. It is, and it's better than, in fact, my wife just canceled. She's changing hairdressers because her hairdresser won't answer the phone and said, I have an app. You have to download the app. That's the only way you can communicate with me. And she went, well, then I'm going to find a new hairdresser because I'm not putting an app on. Whereas actually that's what place she would be a great person for an AI to answer the phone, because the AI is better than an app because it can actually send a message forward, respond, say, hey, we'll call you back in 2 hours or whatever. Much better than this app.
Yeah.
I assume, never saw the app actually.
I think that might be a misguided decision on that business owner's part, because you just think about it, that doesn't reduce friction, that adds friction, because now you're asking for people to have a whole new app on their phone that they wouldn't have even needed just to schedule an appointment with you. So yeah, as you're implementing apps and tech and anything for your business, you really do have to think about the customer experience on the other side of it. And is that adding to their experience or taking away from it? Right.
Well, and that's where having someone like yourself or myself to help someone, because there are so many tools out there. There's, so many. And when somebody gets pitched one and that's the shiny object in front of them, and they're like, oh, that fixes my problem. And the hairdresser and a lot of business people they're not analyzing all of the different parts of how that's going to function. They're going, oh, I don't have to answer the phone.
Exactly.
I'm good. I know the dotted line. Yeah.
Yep. And that can be a trap, especially since, like in the case of the hairdresser, they're just trying to be a hairdresser. Nobody taught them all this other business stuff.
Absolutely. Well, and I've seen that takes place in so many, I would say the majority of businesses. People use technology because they have to use it. They're not that familiar with what the other options are. If they learn how to use Microsoft Word, they use Microsoft Word because that's what they use. And you say, here, use Google Docs. It's got all these things. They're like, what's that? I'm not getting in the cloud.
Too much tech. Nope.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It's, and then my goodness, you get to more technology. Yeah. So if you could, within the medical space specifically, if you could like wave a magic wand and have an AI that would just do one thing perfectly.
Oh, that's a good question.
Which would that be? What would that look like?
So it's actually more back office stuff. So, if I could have a perfect chatbot that literally could speak to a patient and carry them through like scheduling, taking payment, just as good as myself or another one of our back office virtual assistants could, well, that would be pretty amazing. But I think even more amazing would be an AI that takes all of a new patient's intake information, all of their records, what they filled out when they were scheduling the appointment, and if it could put everything in the folders, put all, like, label the files, put all the files where they needed to be, start a chart note, and basically like start putting together a care plan based on like the analysis and whatever records are available, and then also guide our team on, okay, here's what's next. This person needs, their imaging to come in from X facility and everything that's needed to get them to the next step in the care journey. Because there is so much minutia that goes into intaking a new patient, finding out what their problems are, finding out what kind of records they have, putting that all together in a plan, and then communicating all of that back to them in a way that they understand. So an AI that could do all of that stuff would be revolutionary, but no such thing exists so far today yet. There are some like certain EHRs that are, and that's like electronic record management systems. Most medical businesses are forced to use those for record keeping. They're quite expensive. They are quite archaic in a lot of ways, and they're kind of, the medical providers are usually stuck with them. Some of those EHRs are starting to build in some cool AI features similar to what I was just explaining, but you have to be on that platform. And so something that can tie all of the platforms together that I'm already using, oh my gosh, that would be crazy.
Right. Yeah. And I can see with some of the stuff I've seen going on with AI agents, that coming together, is just a matter of, AI is getting amazing. It's growing so fast that it's absolutely amazing, even when you work in it and you stay on top of it.
Yeah. One of the things that we have to worry about a little bit more in the medical vertical is compliance and data management. So we can build exactly what I'm talking about for another business, but because of HIPAA compliance and all of that, and all of that stuff, we can't do that for medical businesses right now without building something almost completely native and very expensive. So I'm looking for something. I'm hoping something is launched eventually soon that's like an out of the box, something that I can use that's affordable, that's actually geared and made exactly for that.
Oh, I would imagine somebody must be working on it, because the medical fields, there's a lot of money in the medical field, and businesses target products at where the money's at.
Yes, there's a demand for this, so I have to believe that there's something emerging soon.
And you're not developing it in secret.
I've looked at developing such a thing, and I'm not a software developer, and so I decided that that's not something that I want to embark on. Also knowing that, just if I'm just patient, others are developing, people who actually know how and have the means to develop it properly.
Okay. Well, that's been very educational. You I've had a lot of knowledge there. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about as far as share with what you've done, some unique cases you've had, businesses that you've really been able to, there's always one that's going to stand out. It's just you've went in and made just a tremendous difference in their business.
Yeah, I would say probably, my own business, my own clinic, is a great example, because I went from almost doing everything in terms of business operations by myself to I have a team of 7 full-time virtual assistants sitting in the Philippines now, supporting the business, doing things that I never dreamed of. And it kind of all started with just hiring some back office help. And so, my own clinic, being able to say, hey, we have 7 people working full time, and I've only done that in a period of less than 2 years. That's probably my favorite example, but I've been able to help at least 5 or 6 other businesses that I can think of build their own teams of more than 5 recently. And it's really powerful when a business can get the foundation set up with that executive assistant or medical back office assistant, and then build off of that. You know, the leverage you gain from the one person that you add on, and then your eyes get open to what you can do next and who you can add in next. And usually then that's like, okay, now we can bring in somebody to help with marketing. Now we can bring in somebody to help with CRM management. We can bring in somebody to help with social media and all the video editing and all of these other things that support the growth of the business. Yeah, my clinic's a good example, and the several other businesses that I think I've helped build big teams for are my other favorite examples, because the magic really happens, and I keep seeing this over and over again.
As you spend your time helping other businesses to grow and, you know, implement these systems, and you've been able to, I presume you've been able to buy back some of your own time, and how have you evolved as a person from being able to get that time back in your life?
Ooh, I love that question. So I used to suffer from a disease that I think a lot of other business owners suffer from, which is I really believed that I needed to be doing everything myself. And I really measured myself on how much I was able to like grind it out and just put in a couple more hours and just get a little bit more done. I really burned out from that. I really did have like a personal sort of awakening when I realized that I can't keep doing this. So I had to make a choice and start looking at, okay, how do I spend my time all day when I'm working? As you start offloading and you start looking at, okay, what can I give to somebody else? And what space does that free up for me? You start really looking at your time in general completely differently. And that's what I started doing. And it started kind of seeping into other areas of my life, like, I'm spending 6 hours a week cleaning my house. I'm spending 2 hours a week going grocery shopping. I'm spending, you know, what should be maybe like productive hours doing other things that I maybe could be outsourcing. So in my personal life, I started outsourcing some of those other things like house cleaning. And these are things that I personally would have almost been offended by thinking about outsourcing to this whole journey. It would have been like, I can't justify paying somebody else to do that for me kind of a thing. But then when you start flipping it and you start really thinking about, okay, well, if I'm spending my time doing this and my hourly rate is X amount, should I really be doing these things? And then like everything flips. And so I can't even help now but to look at everything that I do in both in my personal and professional life. Like, is this something that I myself should be putting my time to? If yes, why? Can I get some help on it? And is it freeing me up to do the things that I really feel fulfilled doing? Because at the end of the day, when I started a business, I did not think that I was going to be taking on a low-paying job, but that's actually what I did. And that's what most business owners end up doing. And the only way to get yourself out of that is to trust other people and to be willing to pay other people to do the things that you should no longer be doing. And it definitely takes a little bit of a mental switch.
Well, it's kind of, you know, as a business owner, you got to always be looking at the bottom line. And it's really comes down to, I can't afford to do that. My time is worth too much. I can't afford to do the, you know, even in Seattle, hiring somebody to clean your house is $25 or $30 an hour, but it's not what your time's worth.
Exactly.
It's by any means. And I think everybody becomes self-employed because they say, I don't want to work all those long. I don't want to work for the man. I don't want somebody else telling me what to do. I don't want him telling me when I can work. And so instead of nobody telling you how many hours you have to work or where you have to work or when you have to work, you just find yourself working all the time, everywhere, and all hours. And there becomes no limits. There's, you know, I started as a real estate agent. I mean, you know, people are like, what's your hours from the time I get up until midnight? That's, you know, and as you discover your value, you have to recognize that. So congratulations on doing that for yourself and for helping all these other people accomplish that too. That's amazing.
Thank you. Same to you.
I'll take it one day at a time and get better every day. That's what I think.
Yeah. I personally find it to be really fun. It doesn't feel like work for me. I love sharing my journey and the things that I've learned with other business owners because if I'm being really honest, I was very miserable in my business before I started looking at my time this way and started bringing in help. I was burned out and I probably wouldn't have lasted.
So instead you've thrived.
So instead I've thrived. Yeah. Yeah, you have to make a choice. You know, if the choice is to continue on being burned out and not have what you wanted at the end of the day anyway, it's like take the leap, try something different, see if you can get someone else to help you. It might work out, you know, but it was a decision I was very, very scared to make for a very long time. And I think part of it was just I didn't know what I didn't know. But now,
so true.
Right? And so like I definitely fell on my face a few times. There's a lot of things that I learned through the process of letting go and letting people help me and viewing my time differently. It's not a straight path. Even though I say like I mostly have it figured out, you know, there's still problems that come up. There's still stuff that I have learned and like to share with other business owners. It's not a perfect process. You might hire somebody and they might not work out and you might go, oh man, I just wasted a bunch of time and I wasted a bunch of money. No, you have to keep going. You have to keep going, you know, otherwise you'll never get the leverage. You'll just keep burning out. You might just quit.
Yeah. If you don't, you have to make decisions and they're not always going to be perfect. But, you know, it's kind of like in the software industry, you know, they, you know, roll it out and patch it as you go. And that's kind of how we got to roll is you hire someone. And if they don't work out, you know, it's hire. I like hire slow and fire fast.
Exactly right.
Yeah. But and then learn from every experience because life's full of learning. We're always learning.
That's exactly right.
Any of us has it perfect.
Nope.
So before we wrap this up, can I ask, do you have one book that you would recommend that is something that's really been something you've been reading recently or something that really made a difference in your business?
Well, I'm always talking about the book Buy Back Your Time. That's a big one by Dan Martell. I like to go to that one because it's an easy read. It talks about concepts that you kind of need to revisit and put back into your brain. You know, it's a process of learning, again, how to buy back your time. This book literally spells it out for you and reframes things for you, helps you to think about your time in a completely different way so you can kind of let go of maybe some bad habits, some limiting beliefs that you would have had before. That book was super life-changing for me. It's kind of like, in terms of books, it's one of my business Bibles.
It's sitting on my shelf right there. Good book. Yeah, really. I think it really helps people with some of those things you think you're the only one that can do. Helps you evaluate that and put your different things that you do in your day into different baskets so you can say, hey, these ones I can let go of and these ones I shouldn't be doing and I should really be spending more time doing this.
Yeah. And the other big thing that it helped me see was that hours worked, hours put in by you does not equal desired results necessarily. You know, like just putting in more hours is maybe not always the best idea. So how can you look at that a little bit differently? Someone else can put in the hours for you.
Nope. Years ago, I used to be really proud of the fact I used to work 80-hour work weeks. In fact, I actually had a regular job at one point where my normal work week was 96 hours. I used to work in refineries and I was proud of that back then. Now I realize, that probably wasn't the smartest thing. But my poor kids had to deal with it when first time their boss said, you have to work overtime a couple hours. And I'm like, you have to work a couple hours overtime? They didn't find a lot of sympathy.
Yeah, can understand that. But isn't it funny how like we really are conditioned to think like that should be almost like a badge of honor. Yeah.
I think that's it's an American thing, specifically, and I would rather be less American in that aspect. As I was just talking to a British guy the other day, and he's like, "Yeah, you guys are too proud of all the hours you work," and it's very true. we need to program ourselves to take more vacations and holidays. And I'm getting better at that. I do a much better job at that nowadays. But for many years, old habits are hard to break, but break them.
Yeah, no, new priorities of like spending time with your family and enjoying your life and, keeping up with your hobbies and all of these things that, you think you're going to have when you start a business, but no, you have to make that happen for yourself. You have to actively do it. And you have to build it that way. No one else is going to do it for you.
Yeah. And I've also discovered that I think planning out vacations actually seems to, there's something, you're putting something out to the universe that makes business happen. Because inevitably we plan trips and, business just seems to just keep running and it seems to get even busier and you run right up and, okay, I am leaving. And let's say 3 years ago, we spent 90 days traveling in the year, and business was never better. So
is that because you had a team of virtual assistants supporting you?
Yep. I had a team there, and that really opened up a lot of doors. And then, we were able to spend a month in a motorhome and still had all my real estate business happening. And,
what a gift. I mean, that's the dream right there. I can honestly say I didn't take a real vacation where I wasn't like actually just working the whole time in probably 5 years. I finally was able to take one within this last year because my team was able to keep everything going and I didn't have to do anything. It was just like it was like business kept going. In fact, like it was like I wasn't gone. It was probably better. And the gift of being able to like be on vacation while I'm on vacation and not be thinking about like, oh, am I missing a client? Does somebody need me? Am I missing a sale? All of these things. Like, God, I can't even tell you how good that felt.
Yeah, that's the way life is supposed to be.
It is. We don't know that until we have it though.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
So our job is to evangelize and tell everybody else.
Exactly. You can have this too.
There is light on the other side. There is, the grass is greener, unless you're in Mexico and then the beach is warmer.
It's true.
I'm good with that.
And hopefully if you're there, you're enjoying it and you're not working because you have a team behind you.
Absolutely. Definitely. So, well, this has been a wonderful conversation. We're going to have to do this again.
Definitely.
And thank you very much for your time and for coming on the show.
Thank you, Reid. It's been great. I'll talk to you soon.
And if people want to reach out to you and contact you and get some information, how would be the best way to get a hold of you? I
am active on Instagram mostly, so you can find me. My name is Jenna.Evola, or you can just go to my website, JennaEvola.com. Yeah, anything having to do with business automation and, of course, offshoring, you can talk to me.
All right. Well, thanks again, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Right. So that's another wrap on this episode of the Time Hack Agent Podcast. Here is the thing, though. You've just spent the last 20 or so minutes learning how to work smarter and not harder. But knowledge without action is just a form of entertainment. So my challenge to you is, what one task are you going to automate or delegate in the next 7 days? I want to hear about it. Let me know. Send me something. Put a comment down there. Because here's the truth. Time is limited. It's your most valuable asset. You can't buy it back. When it's gone, it's gone. If you want to know what it feels like to grow and have time for strategy and friends and family, go ahead and take your browser right over to Time Hack VA, where you can schedule a discover call with our partners, Sphere Rocket Virtual Assistants. Sphere Rocket has placed over 10,000 VAs with business owners across the country and around the world. And they will show you how they work and how they can find the right VA for you and your business. So go to timehackva.com and schedule that appointment, and you will not be disappointed. Start buying back some of your time. See what you can do with an extra 10, 20, 30 hours a week with your life and your business and how that can make a difference. All right, don't wait. Visit timehackva.com. So until next time, keep hacking your time, not your sanity.